Shall we begin?
Breath of the Wild. This game came out a week ago. A week ago today. And I cannot stop playing it. I cannot stop playing it. I honestly just got done playing a session of Breath of the Wild. And for those of you wondering, which is probably like maybe one of you, I do plan on playing this game on my channel. I'm just waiting for the Nintendo Switch to get the function to be able to record, because it doesn't have that yet. But they did say that it would get that function. That would be a patch to the Switch later down the line. And also, because of my terrible timing, I don't have a Switch to play this on. So I've had to make do with the Wii U version, which is not bad at all, by any means. It's still incredible. The graphics aren't as great as I'm positive they are on the Switch. I'm sure that they're a million times better, that the Switch version blows the Wii U version out of the water. I'm positive of that. But I've only had the Wii U version to play, and I don't even have the disc in. The disc isn't even... I haven't taken it out of my Wii U since I got it. Like, I've been doing nothing in my free time except play this. And there's a theory that I have that I've been holding on to for months. For months, I've had this theory. Well, actually, for like over almost 2 years, actually. I've had this theory for almost 2 years. And I've been slowly building it up. I've been slowly building on this theory for the last couple of years. And with Breath of the Wild coming out, I feel like now is the perfect time to bring you guys this theory. A theory that states that Hyrule Warriors is incredibly important to the timeline. Yes, I know what I'm saying. I know that it's not officially part of the timeline. However, couple things. One of the developers of Hyrule Warriors stated that while it does not take place in the timeline, he said that if it did, he imagines it would take place in the child timeline, presumably after either Twilight Princess or Four Swords Adventures. We weren't exactly sure which one it fell under. I just assumed it took place after Four Swords Adventures, at the end of the child timeline. As a way of kind of like, in a sense, combine the three timelines together. As a kind of like what-if scenario. Like, what if the three timelines had the chance to merge back into one? This is what we'd get. So, that was an interesting concept. That was a very interesting concept. But this game is incredibly important to the timeline. Something that I've been thinking about ever since we got our first teaser for Breath of the Wild was the color of his shirt. The color of Link's shirt. He wears the champion tunic. Let me see if I can get a good picture. Yeah, good enough. You can see him there with the champion tunic. And ever since I saw that, I've been wondering something. Why does it look exactly the same as Link's scarf in Hyrule Warriors? And then we started getting more information. More information about the game in 2016. We started getting information about other characters. A team that seemed to have been forming that people began to call the Champions of Hyrule, which turned out to be exactly what they were called. The Champions of Hyrule. And each of them wears a blue scarf exactly like the one Link wears in Hyrule Warriors. It is the same scarf, same design and everything. It's the scarf. And we hear in Breath of the Wild that the game takes place a total of 10,000 years after, a total of 10,000 years later in the future. 10,000 plus 100 years. And 10,000 years ago, there was a great war. There was a great war against Ganon. And the princess and the hero successfully sealed him away. And then in order to take precautions to make measurements so that Ganon would not be able to be a threat again, they created the divine beasts and the guardians. The ancestors created the divine beasts and the guardians. 10,000 years pass. King Rome and Zelda and Link of Hyrule find the divine beasts and the guardians, dig them up, and get prepared to fight Ganon once again. And they choose these champions. And they have the same scarf as Link in Hyrule Warriors. And I'm just thinking, what does all this mean? What I think it means is that the war that happened, that ended with Ganon being sealed away, that was Hyrule Warriors. That was the war that took place. It was a huge war, and what happens at the end of Hyrule Warriors? Ganon is sealed away. He is sealed away, and this team that Link has, this team that Link gets, they all are standing together, fighting Ganon as a team, as champions. What if after Ganon was sealed, they ended up creating the divine beasts and the guardians because they knew he would end up returning again eventually? I believe that even though Hyrule Warriors is stated to not be in the timeline, I believe that this is Nintendo's way of saying this is what happened 10,000 years ago. They're not going to make an official game that fits in the timeline to show this, but this is basically their way of compensating. Like, this was a strategic move by Nintendo, having Hyrule Warriors made to show the war that happened 10,000 years ago without having it connect to Breath of the Wild. They never stated that it's connected to Breath of the Wild because it would give too much of the story away. We would know too much. We would already be able to come to conclusions of what happens in the story. We'd be able to guess all this stuff. They wanted to keep this game shrouded in mystery. And what's a great way of doing that? By having a game that you say has nothing to do with the timeline. That's a great way of doing it. So, because then people are like, oh, then it doesn't matter. It's not story important. But it is. It was a great play by Nintendo. And Hyrule Warriors is an incredibly important story in the timeline because it shows the war that happened 10,000 years ago. the war where Ganon was sealed. Which led up to the events of Breath of the Wild. And that's why the champions of Hyrule wear the exact same scarves that look like Link's scarf in Hyrule Warriors. It explains it. And I also found it weird how in the tapestry we see Link with, it looks like the champion tunic. Most people assume it's the champion tunic that he's wearing in the tapestry. However, the thing is, it wraps around his body not like a tunic, but more like a robe, like an ancient Greek robe or something. What if that's actually just his scarf and the wind's blowing it all around him? That would make more sense. It's hiding his green tunic. So, like, this is just an interesting theory that I've been working on for years, and with Breath of the Wild and everything I've learned about it in the last week, I feel confident that this is what Nintendo intended. Like, I feel confident that that is what Nintendo was trying to do. They didn't want to reveal too much about the game, so instead, they camouflaged the information by saying that it doesn't take place in the timeline. But one of the developers stated that if it did take place in the timeline, it would be in the child timeline. That's another reason why they couldn't have it take place in the timeline, because if this is a prologue to Breath of the Wild, that would have given away where Breath of the Wild takes place, automatically. Which is in the child timeline. Like 10,000 years after the events of Four Swords Adventures. I'm gonna have to have a spoiler warning in the title or something. But yeah, so that's my theory. Please let me know what you guys think. Do you believe that Hyrule Warriors is a prologue of what happened 10,000 years ago leading up to Breath of the Wild? The connections are there. The clues are there. The evidence is there. It just hasn't been stated as fact by Nintendo yet. Daisy! Shut up! I'm trying to make a video. Stupid dog. Daisy! Do you believe that this could be a thing? Let me know in the comment box below, because I love Zelda. I absolutely love Zelda, and I love this game. I love Breath of the Wild. It is amazing. By far my favorite Legend of Zelda game. Like, it beats out Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Absolutely. Like, my favorite was a tie between those two for the longest time. I could not decide between them. But now it's definitely Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild #1. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and there will be more videos coming up eventually. You know the situation. But yeah, so I will make videos whenever I can. I'm just gonna have to wing it, like I had to wing these 3 videos. So hopefully I'll be able to get a stable situation going. This is the absolute worst. There's always problems. But that's all I got. So thank you guys so much for watching.